Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well and welcome to the podcast. Today, I'm going to talk about something I've recently read about that's called anticipatory anxiety. But before we start, I wanted to recall your feelings in an experience similar to what I'm going to say and try to think about how it felt, okay? So, do you remember when, for example, you applied for a job for months, you prayed for it a lot. You imagined how proud you would feel if you got this job, and you felt excited to prepare well and work hard. Then one day, you received an email that said, "Hello, we are happy to offer you the position." But suddenly, you got like some butterflies in your stomach, you got confused, and didn't understand what happened. So, why do we feel fear right after we get what we want? This is what we're gonna discuss today. So when, for example, I want something, I work for it like a lot, but as I get closer to get it, I suddenly feel not ready to start. It could be a new job, a marriage, moving to a new city, or even waiting for a medical appointment. Actually, this feeling is psychologically normal, but let's understand together why this happens. So at first, what happens is something called affective forecasting error. It means that in the beginning, we imagine the reward, not the responsibility. Let me explain more. Imagine that you want to get a new position, so you start to picture the applause, the success, the confidence, but you don't stimulate the first awkward day, other people's expectations, or the pressure to perform. So, in this stage, our brain overestimates future happiness. But when reality gets closer, or we can say when the start date becomes real, that excitement collapses into something more concrete. So that's when anticipatory anxiety appears. It's like the brain switches from reward mode to threat mode. And biologically, this happens because different parts of our brain are activated at different times. When we imagine achieving something, for example, our reward system releases a chemical called dopamine, which makes us feel excited and motivated. But when the moment becomes real, the brain's threat system, including the amygdala, becomes more active. So it releases adrenaline and cortisol, which sometimes cause stress, nervousness, and tension we feel. So the same brain that made us feel excited at first, now it prepares our body for something important. So that's why excitement can suddenly turn into anxiety. Actually, it's really interesting to know how our body reacts toward the external world. Now let's talk about the double-edged sword of this phenomenon. Actually, anticipatory anxiety is not always negative. As we said, it's the brain's reaction to protect our body from danger. So sometimes it can actually be a sign of growth, okay? Honestly, anxiety can definitely feel uncomfortable. We all agree about this. But it can also increase our focus, push us to prepare well, and protect us from making nonsense decisions. And in fact, I saw many successful people feel anxious before taking big steps, but that doesn't really mean they are weak. It simply means they understand the weight of their responsibilities. So instead of seeing anticipatory anxiety as a bad trait, we can start seeing it as a signal that we are stepping into something meaningful in our life. But again, anticipatory anxiety is not always helpful. It can make us suffer before even something happens. It's like it fills our mind with overthinking and worst case scenarios instead of celebrating the moment we worked hard for. So we start doubting ourselves. We begin imagining failure, rejection, or embarrassment. And sometimes the fear becomes so heavy that we delay or avoid actions or even run away from the thing we once wanted. So in that case, anticipatory anxiety can also affect our sleep, our appetite, and even our physical health. Another really interesting thing I've learned while I was doing my research about this topic is that anticipatory anxiety is considered as a third layer of fear. Let me tell you how. Let's take, for example, this situation. Imagine that your friends are planning a weekend trip to the mountains, so you will have fun with them and you feel excited to spend the trip day, okay? So first, you can be afraid of something. Think, for example, you are scared of high places, okay? Second, you can be afraid of being afraid. This is sometimes called the fear of fear or panic. For example, you would say, what if I, what if I panic when we are up there? Or what if I get dizzy and have panic attack, then lose control and have a heart attack? And finally, you get to the third level of fear. You can be afraid of being afraid of being afraid. It sounds complicated, right? But it actually means when you start seeing, I'm overwhelmed even thinking about the trip next week because I might climb the mountain and have a panic attack, then lose control and can't handle the situation. Then all my friends think I am weak. So maybe I need to cancel the trip and I shouldn't go. So actually, nothing has happened yet, but your body reacts as if you are already in front of danger. So maybe it is clear for you now how this third layer of fear sometimes could be a challenge to do more things, as it could be a powerful motivator of avoidance. Now, before ending my podcast, let's look at some insightful tips that we can follow to control our anticipatory anxiety, or at least benefit from its positive side. First, when, for example, your brain forces you to anticipate negative things, try on the contrary to make an effort to train your brain to think about what could go right. Second advice, actually mindfulness and the relaxation techniques like deep breathing exercises can really help reduce anxiety levels. But of course, if anticipatory anxiety becomes overwhelming, seeking professional help now is really important to manage the situation. And finally, let's learn how to live in the moment and bring our focus back to the present instead of living in the future, okay? And again, let's keep in our mind that growth often feels uncomfortable at first, but that doesn't mean we have or we should give up on it. We have to fight for what we want to achieve good things. So I hope this piece of advice helps you avoid excessive anxiety. I personally need to repeat these tips to myself because I truly need to apply them in my daily life. So now, I guess that's all for today, everybody. Until next time, have a good day and bye bye.